Hello everyone, this is Rod from the Esoteric and Hermetic Study Society, and today we're going to see a small presentation, which is actually I just extracted a few slides from a couple of presentations that we did before. One was called Midsummer Night Magic, and the other one was the Art and Science of Magic, an Introduction. So I just extract a few slides because I think they're very significant and very important slides to understand a little bit more about the world of magic. Starting talking about magic, I think the first definition, or better, the best definition I think so far that has been given to magic is the definition by Aleister Crowley, which says this: magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. And why this definition is so peculiar and so sharp in what it's saying is because it's using these two words, science and art. In fact, magic is exactly the combination of a technology, which you'll find in the science side, and the artistic side, with the one that actually stimulate our unconscious or subconscious, as you want to call it. As you can see here, this is just an example. This is a painting from Dürer, and actually we'll see there's thousands of examples of magic, practical magic, used in the art throughout the history. Especially in the Renaissance, we had really a boom, an explosion of magic in artistic expression, especially in painting, after the influence of the Hermetics in Italy, after Giordano Bruno, after Ficino, after all these philosophers and astrologers and astronomers that studied both the Platonic writing and the Hermes Trismegistus writing of the Corpus Hermeticum, which were imported into Italy around 1400. Well, in this painting, for instance, of Dürer, you'll see this painting is clearly a Saturnian painting where he actually put the Kamiya, or the magic square of Jupiter, here on the top right side, in order to balance the Saturnian influence. Next, we have another definition that I think is very important, and this is from Alan Moore. Alan Moore is famous for his, he wrote V for Vendetta, he wrote From Hell, the famous movie with Johnny Depp. And he's saying art is like magic, the science of manipulating symbols, words, or images to achieve changes in consciousness. And this is exactly what it is. The only thing that I would not agree with Alan when he says that it's like magic, I would totally say that art is magic, as well as magic is art, or is a form of art. And we'll find it, again, as I said, we'll find it throughout the history, throughout in so many artists which were more or less initiated to some kind of mysteries, or they were somehow involved in the occult tradition. And for instance, we have Amadeus Mozart. He was a Freemason, and he wrote the Magic Flute, which is a totally a very hermetic kind of opera. We found again magic in the writing of William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare, again, he lived in a time where the influence of magic was very strong. He met Giordano Bruno, and it seems he was really a big influence from Giordano Bruno. Another interesting, talking again about the Renaissance, there was this trend in the Renaissance to start to paint in the ceiling or in the walls of particular places certain description of the sky at a certain time, in order to gain the influence of the stars for a certain purpose. Here we have the Palazzo Schifanoia in Ferrara, which is basically is a whole the whole room. This huge room is painted all over the four walls with the zodiacal interpretation, with the deacons and scenes from the seasonal change and the life of the court at the time. And especially this painting is made to the disposition of the stars and the disposition of the zodiacal reference is exactly as you would look at the sky on May 18th of the 1452. And that was made on purpose because Borso d'Este was at the time heading the Este family, was as ruling Ferrara and that region. He was made duke, so he wanted to gain the influence of the stars. This is a very particular way to use astrology to imprint that moment into this palace. And so basically this palace became a kind of a talisman with this specific date painted on the wall. Another example, we have it at the cupola of the Sagrestia Vecchia in Firenze, and the depiction of the sky is the one on the 4th of July 1442 with the sun in Cancer. So again, these artists were representing a certain specific time and how the sky would look at that time to freeze in time that moment. This is one of the most famous painting. This is the Botticelli, the Primavera, the spring of the Botticelli. Here there is thousands of symbols in here. You'll see the Venus in the middle. The Venus is pregnant because it signifies, of course, spring. So Venus is pregnant. There is Mercury on her right side. Mercury, historically and philosophically speaking, is the right hand of Venus. Venus would never move. Venus does nothing if not helped by Mercury. And then you see the wind, all of the wind that is blowing on the right side. Again, there is thousands and thousands. Again, we find it in this beautiful tarot deck of the 1400, late 1400, early 1500 of Ferrara, which is the Solabusca Tarot, and each of these beautiful card is a really masterpiece of symbology. And talking about symbology, of course, we find the symbology especially in the tarot card, as well as we said, we find it in many representations through the artist of historical artist. And you'll see the Hierophant with his hand pointed toward the sky, as well as is represented in John the Baptist of Leonardo da Vinci, and he's pointing his finger to what are these symbols? So symbols are the language of the subconscious. The subconscious speaks. If the universe speaks in numbers, it's said that maybe the subconscious would speak in symbols. And symbols, not only symbols are a language, but is also a language that is evolving, because the more we evolve, the more we expand our operating system, our mind, the more the symbols start to get a different meaning. Like, for instance, if I show you this, I think the first thing that may come to mind is the cross of the Christian cross. But how about if we just put a sickle under it? Then we will have the astrological sign, the astrological glyph of Saturn. Or if we round the top of the cross, then we'll immediately evoke Egypt and all the symbology of the Ankh. Or the cross could be simply a cube that is unfolded. And again, this symbol, which if is seen from a Western perspective or an Eastern perspective, can have a totally different feel to it. Okay, so we spoke about symbols. Now we go back 1 second to try to understand where all this magic, where all this Western, I'm talking about, of course, the Western tradition of magic comes from. And we will see together in this chart. Beside what we don't know, beside where we don't have any fragment, we don't have any history before. So we'll start to talk from the time where we actually have some kind of documents, whether are fragment or something anyway that we can refer to. Most likely for sure there was something even before then, but of course we don't have any information about it. So we'll start to talk about the Greek mysteries, and we're still in the 6th, 7th century before Christ. The Greek mysteries, even before then, for Greek mysteries, I mean the Eleusinian mysteries, the Isis and Osiris mysteries, the Pythagorean mysteries, and most of these mysteries are even older than the Olympian gods. Actually, they are from the Minoan time, which of course then blended into the Greek culture of the Olympian pantheon. Next to it we have the Egyptian magic. As I said in the Talmud, the world was given 10 units of magic, and Egypt got 9 of those. So Egypt is definitely one of the superpower of magic in history. And next to them, of course, we have the Phoenician, early Phoenician, and then later in the Hebrew. So these three cultures which blended, one more. We have the Persian or Arab astrology, which developed a little bit sideways, a little bit more straight from the Persian, early Persian Zoroastrian kind of tradition. And although these 4 elements kind of mixed together, the Persian Arab astrology had its own evolution. So first we'll see these 3 cultures of the Greeks, Egyptians, and Hebrews, which kind of blended and mixed together in the Alexandrian time, the 300 when Alexander the Great basically conquered Egypt. So Alexandria with his library became really like a New York of the old time, where a lot of cultures, a lot of information, a lot of scientific theology, cultural information start to exchange. And the result of this melting pot, we can see it in one of the oldest book of Western magic that is available today, and it's called the Greek Magical Papyri, or the Greek Egyptian Magical Papyri, which is not really a book, but is like a collection of many fragments collected here and there. And for who has the chance to see this book, you'll see a collection of spells or exorcisms or evocation, for many different reasons, from money to job to cursing to protection and everything. And as you may see in this book, the language or the nomina magica, the magic names that are invoked, sometimes are in Hebrew, sometimes are in Egyptian, and sometimes are in Greek, perfectly blended into this book. It's the book that I definitely recommend. Again, from Alexandria also, we have the evolution. This culture also evolved into what we call Hermetics and alchemy. Alchemy is basically the practical part of Hermetics. For Hermetics, we mean mainly the Corpus Hermeticum, which is attributed to the mythical figure of Hermes Trismegistus, which is corresponding to the Egyptian god Thoth and the Greek god Hermes. So this Hermes Trismegistus, which means Hermes the 3 times great, is attributed the science of hermetics, and the Corpus Hermeticum is one of the major writing that we have today, and most likely one of the most popular part of the practical hermetic is the Tabula Smaragdina, the emerald table, where we have the famous sentence, as above, so below. Moving forward, of course, from the same period also we have the evolution into early Christianity. Christianity didn't invent pretty much anything new, but took from Neoplatonism mainly. And of course, there was also some magic involved into it because of its evolution. And we see a lot of this magic tradition remaining if you see a Catholic Mass with the transubstantiation of the wine and the bread. They're all elements that are basically carried forward from the magical tradition of Alexandrian time. From the Persian and Arab side, as I say, they had a little bit of a different evolution, although in somehow of course, they blended together. But in many parts, the Persian and Arab astrology took its own route and evolved in its own way. And we can see this evolution written in the Picatrix, which is a book which was translated in around the 1200, and we can see how astrology was so different from what it is today. Astrology back then, it was not only for divination or to understanding the cycle of nature of the events, but was also and mainly to use the power of the stars to create talismans, so to infuse some object with the specific power of the stars of the zodiac in order to produce some effect or to gather the energy in order to make some changes. So it's a use of astrology which is much closer to what we call what we indicate as magic itself. And then from Hermetics, finally, when the Hermetics boomed into the medieval Renaissance Europe, started to give birth to many initiatory societies like the Rosicrucian and the Masonry, the Golden Dawn, which the oldest one, like Masonry and Rosicrucian, carried on a lot from the Greek mysteries as well. So we find a lot of elements directly connected to the Greek mysteries into these initiatory societies. The Golden Dawn is a much more recent magical organization, so yes, more of the modern influences to it. From the Greek Egyptian magical papyri, again in Europe in the 1500-1600, we have from there the evolution into what we call the magical grimoires, the Key of Solomon, for instance. The Key of Solomon in many languages. We find it in English, we find it in Latin, of course, the first language, we find it in French, we find it in German, and we find all these grimoires related to Solomonic magic. And of course, if you're interested about this specific kind of magic, Solomonic magic, there is a video specifically talking about this subject. Okay, so next we talk about the symbols, we talk about the history. Now we also talk a little bit of what is the point of magic and how magic, as we say, says like making changes to occur with the will, is the art and science of making changes to occur with will. But how do we actually make these changes? Supposedly that we have this entity that is we can call it the universal mind, and this universal mind is in continuous talk with our conscious mind. So what we need to do when we do a magical operation is to basically change the movie plot that is running in between. Try to imagine really that you are streaming, and basically you're streaming the video, and what you want to do is like you want to reach the source of the video and go change the plot of the movie. So in order to do that, we have to throw down the door of the conscious, because until we are consciously thinking, until we are consciously aware of everything that is going on at this time in this space, we are not able to connect to the unconscious mind or the universal mind. So the three key elements in order to knock down the door and to have a connection with the universal or our movie plot. The first one is emotion. The second one is intention. And the third one is imagination. Basically, these three elements of emotion, intention, and imagination, you find it continuously in every kind of spell. Doesn't matter which kind of magic you're studying or practicing. For any kind of spell or any kind of operation, the magician is required to blend and to use these three energies of the energy of intention, the energy of imagination, and emotion. Next, let's talk about how a magician or occult practitioner would see or recognize the world around him or her based on all the books and teaching and things that we have just mentioned before. I'm gathering different kind of school of thought, different kind of school of magic, but pretty much the concepts are the same. So we have a world that is, or a universe that is divided into, we can call it frequencies, as Nikola Tesla says. If you want to understand the universe, you have to think in terms of frequencies, and so we will talk about first frequencies, and then we will give it different names depending on the tradition. So we have the highest frequencies, which are the closest to the mind of God, let's say, and this is where the nous of the Neoplatonism, or the world of idea of Plato, or the anima mundi would stay. So this is a world of creation. And here we have the gods, we may call it in the pantheon of like the Egyptian god or the Greek gods or the monotheistic god as well. Next to it, a little bit lower, we have the higher frequencies, and where we have what we call the archangels and angels. Archangels and angels are essentially messenger. They're frequencies that connect the world of creation to the world created. So there's something that connects and carries information between the two. Under that, we have the spirits, or lower, a little bit lower frequencies, but the spirit frequencies. And here we have dead people's spirits. We have the spirits of the dead, the spirit of the ancestors. We have all kind of spiritual entities. And then we get closer and closer to our material world, and in fact we find the elementals, which are the nature spirit. I think pretty much everybody is familiar with the undines, with the sylphs, with the gnomes, and how they are being defined by Paracelsus. Paracelsus was the first one, I think, to give a name to these nature spirits, which belong to the water, to the four elements of water, fire, earth, and air. And then finally, in the lowest frequencies, the material frequencies, we have what we call the demons. The demons, not in a negative way, we call it demon, but demons in terms of like spirits that are more spirits that are closer to the material world. And we are there, like we can see the picture here with the two spirals, one going up and one going down, because we are in somehow able to navigate through this frequency depending on what we do. And here where magic comes into play. Okay, so before moving forward, I just wanted to give also the Kabbalistic definition of these frequencies, which is called gods on the top, and then we have archangel, intelligence, and spirits. This is a Kabbalistic way of dividing these frequencies, and also echo it into Agrippa's Philosophia Occulta. So we say we can navigate through these frequencies or use these frequencies through the work of magic. And here is where magic comes in, and how we change the frequencies in order to move up or down is, as we said before, through an artistic or through art. Through an artistic expression, we are able to change our frequencies. So in the top we have the ritual. Like, why do we do a ritual in magic? The ritual is a drama. A ritual is a performance. A ritual is like a movie that takes you to another vibration. And this is exactly the reason why there is a certain elements of ritual, there is a certain element of acting into the ritual of magic. Next is the voice, as we use for invocation, evocation, and the nomina magica. Nomina magica are the names, specific names, which, as we've seen before, could be in Hebrew, could be in Greek, could be in Latin, but there are specific names that we use to invoke or evoke or say as a spell, just for instance. And next we have the tools. The tools are corresponding vibratory level. So like we have the cup, for instance, that vibrates with water. We have the one that vibrates with air. We have the atame, the knife that vibrates with fire, and so on and so forth. Although some people may switch it around, but pretty much the meaning is that the tools are materialization of certain correspondences. In the modern magic, let's say from the Golden Dawn onward, we refer to the elemental magic, so the material magic, the one that is related to our four elements world. We refer it as a pentagram kind of magic. So we use the pentagram in order to use the energies of the four elements, and we use the hexagram in order to use the energy of the zodiac forces, or the universal star forces. So this is the difference between the pentagram and the hexagram. One works on the elemental level, and the other one works on planetary zodiacal level. But all these, when we talk about frequencies, we talk about, let's talk from the highest frequency to the lowest frequencies. There must be within something, an ominous something, right? Something that is like permeates and comprehend everything that we discussed so far. And we can call this the big one. So this big one it's something that has everything inside. It's an ominous something that is above and beyond space and time and creation. So what is this? Like, yeah, I like it. I like the idea of seeing this as a pizza, because, and yeah, the idea of the pizza, because depending on how we interpret this big one, depending on how many slices we cut our pizza, we have different way of seeing our magic. Like, for instance, if we cut our big pizza into 4 slices, we will actually be in the world of Kabbalah. Everything in Kabbalah is by 4. So our big pizza is in 4 slices. If we cut our pizza in 30 slices, then we will be in the Enochian world of John Dee and Kelly, because they divided the universe into 30 ethers, and so therefore our pizza has 30 slices in it. Again, if we cut it in 7, we will have the planetary magic of the Renaissance or the medieval magic based on the 7 planets, or even stretching to the Asian tradition. If we divide our pizza into 8 parts, we are into the world of the I Ching. And one more, we can cut our pizza also in 78 parts and be in the world of the tarot. So this is pretty much it. I just collected a few slides here and there just to put together this presentation to understand a little bit more the relation between art, technology, a little bit of history of magic. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll be with us again. Thank you and have a great day.